Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Samantha, and this is my November 2024 Ascension Energies update. Thanks for joining me. And November's theme is navigating the underworld. As we transition from October into the darkest part of the year, for those of you here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are also deepening our connection with the unseen spiritual realm and the underworld. So we are standing now on a threshold of change in the human mind as cosmic forces are going to continue this month to really shift our sense of reality and release illusion. We're going to be able to see things more clearly and find a lot more clarity. I want to welcome all of you that are new to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Hello to those of you that already do. And I really appreciate you journeying with me via the human ascension process archetypes that I channel each month, the chakras, and the plant spirit allies that bring us wise counsel, strength, and guidance. Nature never fails us. So in November, the archetype we are working with is the enchanter, enchantress. Okay, and this is an eighth chakra focus. And the eighth chakra is above the head, foot above the head. And this is the rainbow chakra. It is the portal to the upper realms. It's where we connect the lower realm here in the earthly plane to the higher realms, the other timelines. The key words for this and what we work with when we work with the eighth chakra is we do shamanic journeying. So when you are shamanic journeying, those of you that do that, this is where we work with that. This is the chakra. When you do meditation, this is the chakra you work with. When you do any dream work recall or when you're remembering your dreams, you're connecting to that eighth chakra. This is where we work with shadow world navigation. This is where we heighten and learn to work with channeling through this chakra, mystical experiences, and heightened altered states. So anything you do to heighten your sense of awareness happens with this chakra. It's an extremely important one. It's also where we have grounded expansion. So when we bring in new information through the upper chakras and you're channeling new information and insights and intuition and inner knowing, it must go through this eighth chakra. And you can anchor it here and have grounded expansion. So as you grow in all of these areas that I just spoke about, and also continue to heighten your sense of multidimensional consciousness and bring in more of that holographic brain. So this sense of moving into higher awareness, what we need to do is work with the underworld. And as we move into November, this really heightens, especially when you get into a darker part of the year. All right. Now, the underworld has many aspects to it. So we can work with the unconscious in the underworld. So this is the unconscious mind. So where archetypal and instinctual knowledge reside. This is where trauma is, trauma. And so we're working with a lot of trauma residue right now from our karmic patterning. Okay. Trauma happens through our lifetime here, but this is from patterning through all timelines that we're working with so that we can really end karmic patterning and move into the true self and our divine blueprint. All right. And a lot of this goes on in the mind and in the thymus. This is the subconscious. Now, also in the underworld, we work with our dreams. This is a safe way to work with trauma and to work with karmic residue, for example. And this is our dreaming life and the images and shadows of the dark side of the soul. So if you're having interrupted sleep, insomnia, if you're having nightmares, it means that what you're trying to process is too hard for you. It's too scary. And you need to work with your dream recall, that dreaming cycle, in order to help yourself ease into that and to find healing for yourself and resolution. Also, with the underworld, we can work with myths and stories. So a lot of myths and stories in our world come from this underworld, being in the underworld, and the gods and goddesses that were thought to be there, and figures of death. So that's what the underworld is associated with in this earthly plane. The underworld also is for those that have crossed over. So this can represent the dead and us contacting them. And when we are in the underworld or when we connect to the underworld, we have the opportunity to commune with our ancestors to receive guidance. especially this time of year as we move into the end of October, beginning of November, and these darker parts of the year, November and December in the Northern Hemisphere. And one of the biggest things we'll be working with this month that the underworld is associated with is the disowned parts of the self. And this is where we have these exiled parts of ourself that we generally do not want to see. When we move into the underworld, when we shadow ride, as I call it, when we move into these dark parts of the year, we are forced in a way. And the universe, through the ascension process, is forcing us to look through this or suggesting, I guess you could say, in a very forceful way that we look at this and we deal with it, that we really look at ourselves, take a good look in the mirror. And as we do that, we can really heal ourselves and move to the next level of living. And finally, the underworld can symbolize through this true redemption, healing recoveries, and new life and new beginnings. And that is what this month offers us. As we move into November and then December, we are going to be able to navigate out of this and into soul expansion. All of the parts of the underworld that I just talked about really depend on us successfully navigating the underworld. And this allows us the opportunity to channel higher information and guidance, to experience mysticism and mediumship, and to achieve these heightened altered states. But we have to go through the underworld first to do that. It's not all love and light. And for those of you that follow my channel, you know that I tell it like it is. I'm not going to make this all sound lovely. We are in a very difficult, challenging, but also rewarding ascension process that it requires every bit of grit and determination and willpower that we can muster. And we're really learning that we've got more of it than we ever thought. So during November, as we descend further into the underworld and are challenged to really confront our fear, and we will be, you started this in October. I talked about how we were working with the mind and going through incredible alchemical transition and transformation. And now, as we move into this last part of October and into November, we're embracing the shadow self. And this is where we find inner strength, more inner strength in this transformation. So we need to really dig in. And as we embrace this path, it allows us to break these cycles of trauma, this karmic residue, and conditioning and emotional repression. So we tend to push things down. We don't want to see it. And then we just keep going and going. But eventually it catches up to us. And through the ascension process, we are not allowed to do this anymore. Okay? And because we are being asked to cultivate a deeper relationship with the self and anchor in a sense of soulful purpose, to move beyond the illusion of our world and how we live right now. So we're really being called to new beginnings without any hint of the past on all timelines, whether it is individual, ancestral, whether it's generational, right? All of it's a clean slate. We're wiping it clean. Now, the enchanter enchantress, which is part of this eighth chakra, it really supports us as we descend and ascend in underworld journeys. This is where the ego consciousness contacts the unconscious. So I talked about that here in the thymus and the mind, and where we really learn to endure and transform the dark moments of human life. Okay, this is what this archetype supports us to do. It's connected through this eighth chakra, through that rainbow chakra, to this multidimensional reality, which we can pull in new levels of awareness. We can remember who we really are beyond the illusion of this world. And this archetype is really a guardian for universal truth. So we can connect with that as we move through that rainbow chakra. Now, as we integrate these lower chakras, 1 to 7 this month, with the upper chakras through the eighth chakra, so it can help us connect to the ninth to the 12th chakras and beyond, and really allows us to live in these multidimensional realities, we can attune to these higher messages, okay, about the changes that we need to make in our life and really, really embrace spiritual wisdom. Big breath on that one. And this is going to help us move forward to really understand what we need to do next, to listen to our soul, not to the busy mind that wants to sabotage us, to listen to where we're being guided to move forward next to, and with whom and where. Okay. Now, as we step into this archetype of the enchanter, enchantress, we must be fully feeling. So you're going to have all the feels this month, which I'm sure you already started in October to have that even more. And it's going to be uncomfortable for some of you, but we need to really sit in this and feel fully. Okay. This is how we develop mediumistic tendencies. It's how we develop channeling abilities. It's how we develop bringing in our inner knowledge and spiritual wisdom, how we connect to the upper realms. We have to feel everything to do that. So, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed with emotion this month, this will be why. And so that you can integrate and you have the opportunity to do so, this multidimensional consciousness with grace and surrender, which is not always easy. I absolutely understand that. So as you do this, though, you will really reclaim your power and your courage and responsibility, okay, in service to the highest good, to yourself. Now, if you don't connect to the eighth chakra properly and you stay in certain states, which I'll get into when I get to the psychospiritual and physical symptoms, then you engage in the negative shadow of the tempter and temptress. This is where we really are tempted, okay, to be pulled into these lower types of behaviors. And as we get into these lower types of behaviors that drag us down and not allow us to really move into being connected with these upper realms, then what happens is that we can hurt ourselves and hurt others. Okay, we engage in lower type behaviors that do not serve our higher nature. And during this growing time of chaos and instability and uncertainty, successfully navigating the underworld is key. It's not key not only to our sanity, our safety, our security, and our individual ascension, but it also helps us in being in this gateway to the next phase of the new earth paradigm. Okay. It helps us look beyond the chaos. It helps us stay in our center. It helps us stay balanced as we connect to these upper realms and can really see everything for what it really is versus being too bogged down in the everyday illusion that we're being presented, especially if it's a fearful type of illusion that we are being asked to believe in. Now, the plant spirit ally that best describes the overall energy and learning of this month is fennel. Fennel is a beautiful plant that grows in the garden, and we use it mostly in cooking, but you also can use the seeds to make a tincture, to make a tea, and I also make a flower essence. And this beautiful plant is excellent for spiritual acceleration. It really supports us with that. It brings in more clarity. It becomes supportive as a cosmic conduit. It integrates the upper chakras with the eighth chakra here to the 12th chakra for greater spiritual knowing and ascension. And it really increases the speed at which the chakras can spin. Okay. And it really supports us to clear this karmic debris and residue so that we can openly receive wisdom and messages from the ethers. And it really provides clarity and insight so that we can move on and leave the past behind. Acknowledge the divinity in ourself and all beings. And that's a big part of what we want to come through this month is this clarity to really see what no longer serves us, okay, what we need to let go of. And it helps us let go as we go through this process, okay? And as we do this, then we really can forgive ourselves. We can forgive others. We can have more detachment. We can have more respect and less judgment and compassion for others and ourselves. So it really brings in a sense of cosmic intrinsic knowing that people are not the sum of their actions and their choices and appearances. We are not just that. We are divine. We are God, goddess. We are eternal souls. That is what we are learning. We are moving beyond this sense of earthly bound self into a spiritual sense of who we are more and more as we go through this ascension process and realize there's so much more than what we see here. Okay, and we're going to continue to peel away those layers this month, just like in fennel, which is the bulb. You peel away those layers. And if you want to work with fennel this month, you can do that. It's wonderful for the digestion. We use it for colic babies. So when they're having a hard time, fennel is very good for that. And fennel continues to really help us digest, okay? Digest the flavor and the consistency of each layer of our learning as we go through it so that we really can understand things more and more. And then overall, as we digest and learn the wisdom from our experiences, from our trauma, then we can let go. We can finally let go and become more of that cosmic conduit, just being in that sense of who we are and channeling from those higher realms of information. Okay, really knowing where we need to go in this life, being guided by our soul fully and by spirit, the higher self as well. So, how can you navigate the underworld and be a shadow rider? So this is what you can do this month to support yourself. Okay. Make room for your feelings. If you're running at 100 miles an hour, you're not going to be able to do that. Okay. You have to be willing to sit with them. You have to be able to shadow ride them and get support where you need to, especially if you're battling addictions, for example. This would be a really good month to get support you need for some kind of, say, sacred plant spirit journey retreat. Go on that. Or you may need counseling of some kind or extra support. You may need more support to connect to your intuition, or to trust that you're getting messages, taking a course for your intuition, something like that. Really listen to what you need. Also be really honest about your flaws and your shortcomings. Okay, your F ups. This really takes courage and moral fortitude. So that's another thing you can do this month. Stay in the process as you peel away like that fennel bulb and integrate your not so shiny bits. Okay, you will find more self acceptance. Okay, you can take an inventory this month of your values, your priorities, your strengths, your resources, and then the areas that need improvement. So you can sit down and really take a look at that and let go of situations or relationships that may be a time again to let go of those things this month and things that no longer serve you. It may be a job. It may be that you need to move again and to make some bold choices for yourself. You'll have to take a look at that. Okay. And really reflect on the lessons that you learned. Really look at that and see how you can shift and change going forward. This is also a beautiful time as we go into the darker months of the year to embrace rituals and nature and more and more. So create rituals around Halloween, around Samhain, if you want to do that as you connect to the darker part of the year and through nature and rituals. Day of the Dead, you don't have to be living somewhere where they celebrate it to celebrate it yourself. There's lots of things on the internet that will support you in terms of doing that. Create what you want that way. Okay, take walks outdoors. That really supports you to remember and internalize nature's honesty, nature's resilience, and inner beauty. Connecting with others is very important, okay, as we go through this month and as you are working in the underworld. Okay, share your stories. Try to find humor in things. Work with music, appreciation for just your life and gratitude and quality time with friends, family, and colleagues. That really helps you navigate the underworld. So you know you're not alone. So you know we're all in this together, and we are. And finally, you can be creative. Okay, it's a great time to be creative as you move through the underworld. Some of the most incredible works of art came through the tortured soul. Um, just really get out there and create something for yourself and be inspired. Some people use that when they're inspired by traumatic experience, for example, they create new things. So that's a really positive way to work with your shadow as you navigate the underworld. And as always, I have recommended vibrational products for you to assist you on your journey. I have the Enchanter, Enchantress Essence and Elixir, and this really aids you in attuning to those higher messages and the changes that you need to make in your life. If you're looking for that, it helps strengthen your contact, okay, with the collective consciousness, with the universe, the planet. Works very well that way. I also have the earth element essence, and we are into the earth cycle of creation now. And this really supports you to love the life that you have. Okay, to that really being in the moment, channeling, releasing the outcome to spirit. That's important as we move through this month, surrendering to what is, okay, versus what you wanted or what you thought should have been. It really enhances stamina and a sense of determination, and also helps with mental busyness. It's important this month to work on calming your mind so that you can really move into this sense of creative realization for yourself and move forward and create your life. I also have the galactic shapeshifter essence again. And as well, I have a beautiful new spray that I'm launching. It's a CCC spray. It's the Cosmic Consciousness Connector Spray. And this supports multi-dimensional expansion, connection, surrender, attunement to these higher timelines through that eighth chakra. Really helps you, for those of you that are working with channeling or divination or mysticism, mystic experiences and mediumship abilities. So it's a beautiful spray for that. I also have my soul chakra spray, okay, really connecting that first, second, and third chakra to root you in your soulful purpose, full creation and manifestation, because we need to anchor that root chakra, continue to do that for the rest of this year, and my soul chakra tea. So all of those you can find on my website in the monthly specials area. Now, positive symptoms that you can look for: spiritual acceleration, more clarity, being aligned and grounded more in your sense of soulful purpose, knowing your intuitive guidance more, deepening your inner knowing, aligning with your higher truth, more self-love and self-acceptance, releasing what no longer serves, engaged productivity. We'll have more grief, but that's going to lead to letting go, which is fantastic. That's what we want. We want to move on, and grief is the final stage. Okay, and surrendering to a higher calling. For some of us, we're moving into higher callings, we're developing our talents, and we need to really surrender to this. It takes a lot of courage, but there's those of us, especially light workers, light bearers, we're being asked to go to a new soul mission. We're moving on to something very new or adding on to what we're already doing. Okay. Now, the not so good symptoms, the more negative symptoms could be psychic or emotional congestion. So you really can't tell what's going on, what's yours. Emotional and sensory overwhelm, intellectual and emotional conflict within yourself, wanting to escape, feeling really spacey, okay, distracting yourself quite a bit, feeling ungrounded, lacking motivation or courage, not wanting to be responsible. That's a big one when we work with that eighth chakra, having an existential crisis, okay, feeling directionless, disconnected, lethargic, lacking clarity, being really ego focused. So there's a lot there that can go on. This lack of spiritual surrender that comes when we don't sit properly in the eighth chakra. Okay. I have more of that in my written update on my website. So take a look at my Ascension update there. And again, we'll still be having immune issues and anger and depression. So there's still quite a bit that's going on. And the biggest thing is do not gauge in outside energies that deplete or bring fear. So that's where we can really get pulled down into the tempter temptress I talked about. Okay, so take a look at that, because that's a big part of what we need to avoid as we go through November. Overall, the areas that will be affected this month are the head and the eyes, the heart, the thymus, okay, which is also the higher heart, the throat, the back of the neck, the solar plexus, the digestion, the large intestine, anything to do with the root chakra, like the legs, the knees, the feet, the adrenals, and the immune system, and as well the vagus nerve. That vagus nerve that's down in the digestive area, that's just below, okay, the rib cage. There's a lot of releasing of trauma going on there, and you may be feeling that, okay? It kind of vibrates when it's releasing. And there's quite a bit releasing there as we move through November. Now, finally, cosmic dates. All right. November 1st, we have a new moon in Scorpio. We have 2 new moons this month, and the first one's November 1st. And then we also have 2 meteor showers this month. So November 4th, 5th, we have the Taurus meteor shower peaking. And November 17th and 18th, we have the Leonids meteor shower also peaking. Meteor showers always bring in more illumination, okay, more clarity. So they'll help you as you move through this month. We also have November 8th, we have the 1188 gateway. So this is where, as we move through the underworld and we start to come up a little bit more, the soul will be awakening more. Okay, as you come out of more illusion, as you're integrating and seeing what no longer serves you, what was and no longer needs to be. Okay, this is a time to really know you're on the correct path and that you're moving to a higher spiritual level. Okay, so really stay optimistic. Stay listening to your intuition and your inner guidance and hold positive expectations, particularly for abundance and prosperity. Okay, so that's November 8th. And then we have November 11th, which is the 1111 gateway. So between November 8th and the 11th, this is a time to really choose your thoughts wisely. See where you want to be, even if you don't know exactly what it is, but your next steps, or at least sensing where you need to go. Don't put any energy into focusing on your fears, okay? Because these are gateways, the November 8th to the 11th, where we really are going to be manifesting more and very quickly. And then November 15th, we have a super full moon in Taurus. And then November 30th, we have the second black moon, new moon is in Sagittarius. So we have a lot of releasing, which is what new moons do, starting fresh. Okay, big month for that. And to add on top of that, yes, I'm sure you didn't want to know this, but there is more. We have Mercury retrograde starting. So we're going into the final Mercury retrograde of the year. November 7th to 25th, we have the pre-shadow, and then we go November 26th direct until December 15th. And then December 16th to January 3rd, we go into post shadow. So we start into that as we move through the last part in particular of the month. Yeah, we have a lot of packed energy here that is going to help us to move to this next level of the true self and to find more empowerment and heart-centered living. So thank you for being with me here for my monthly update. And I'm going to leave you with an affirmation, which is I surrender to the great mystery. I attune to all that is. And that is an affirmation that you can use this month to move and navigate through the underworld. And I will see you in the middle of the month for the full moon update. I am taking a little bit of time here because I am working on a 2025 archetypal forecast event, and you can stay tuned for more information about that. Take care. I'm sending you lots of love, and I will see you soon.